So I'm a South Philadelphia guy. There is some pride in that, about where you come from in the city. So my beginnings are very humble. And you would think that I came from a disadvantaged neighborhood or a disadvantaged standpoint, but that's all relative. I didn't know I was disadvantaged. I didn't know there were other opportunities that maybe I should have had. This is my reality. So, single parent, she was brilliant. She was barely 16 when she had me, but I could read before I went to school and I could count before I went to school. So they misapplied the title gifted to me. I wasn't gifted. I was just ahead. There's a huge difference. I found that out later when I went to the gifted school. I saw what gifted looked like and found out it wasn't me. I was just ahead, and now I was no longer ahead. So I always felt different. I always felt different because of my beginnings. People don't understand that when I grew up, that most people had two-parent families, and I saw that, and I was the exception. And so I did things like I wanted to support her early. I shined shoes, I carried packages, and I became a paper boy. And I was the neighborhood paper boy. And because I lived in those segregated times, I lived in the black side of Reed Street. There's the white side too, right? So they had to get one of us, somebody in the neighborhood. Never felt a part of the neighborhood, but I was a paper boy. So there's this dichotomy going on inside me the whole time. I'm really a part of my environment, but I don't feel a part of my environment. So I became a paper boy, and I built the route up from 30 customers to well over 100. I like the paper boy aspect. I like the everyday you go to work deal. I got to be a paper boy pushing that cart, and I knocked on every door, and I told them that you would get your paper and I would make sure it had to be there. So we didn't have porches. We lived in row houses, so that means I had to stop, open your screen door, your storm door, and put the paper inside the door, especially if it was raining or snowing, and that you had to have that paper there. And I learned how to do that. I never had a problem with my paper route, because the reason why they had to come get one of us because people who didn't live in our neighborhood got robbed. I never got robbed. And people used to call me Paper Boy. I hated that name. I hated the name Paper Boy. But that's what I was. So I have a couple of friends. My very best friend has been my best friend for somewhere around 53 years. We met in the second grade. So I went from paper boy to other jobs. Always had a job, but it always was something. I was washing dishes at probably around, 12 or 13 years old in a little restaurant. My mother was afraid that I was missing out on my childhood by working so much. I like money. And I saw that she couldn't purchase certain things, and I didn't think it was fair to ask her. So I would go out and make money, and that was where it started. I go to school. She was amazing. My mother made sure I went to the best schools in Philadelphia. Philadelphia has an educational system, and then they have an educational system within the educational system. We have magnet schools, but then we have schools where the academic elite go, and that's where I went. And she made sure I went to those schools, and I graduated a year early, not because I was good, but because I knew how to keep my mouth shut and I knew how to smile. So I graduated a year early, and by this time I go into the military, where I could have went to any college I wanted to because of my grades, because of my SAT scores. Colleges were fighting to have me, and I told them I wanted to be an engineer. Full rides academically, on some of the best schools in the nation. But I chose to go into the United States Air Force. There's something wrong with that thinking. Okay? I didn't get it, but I was running away from home is what I was doing. And I wanted to make sure that I was going to be self-sufficient, although there were other means to do it. Get into the Air Force, get through basic training. First day of school, I go to this thing called Basic Electrical Principles. And I said, I was 18 years old. I was in Wichita Falls, Texas. And I said, this is it. This is what I've always searched for. And it was the beginning of my field. And I'm in telecom. So that's the only thing I've done for only 42 years. I've been a technician or a salesperson or a manager, but mainly I gravitated toward craft because I like to be able to fix things. I like to know when I leave it works, and it didn't before I got there. So I go through that and go into get into the telephone company, and I'm a technician. And by this time I'm extremely arrogant because I actually know how to do something. And once again, people come in my life and say stuff like, "You're arrogant." They didn't say it in that way. So I get taught how to tone it down some. And I go through the phone company and I do well. I do well because I don't mind working. I do well because I don't mind learning. And I was given an amazing telecommunications education courtesy of the United States Air Force. So serving my country was important to me, which also made me different in the 70s because there was this big Vietnam backlash. I thought it was important to serve the country. Even though I was running away from home, I still thought it was important to serve this country that I had been born into. Whether we had problems or not, which we do, I still thought it was the best place on the planet to live. I figured that out early, that when other people were trying to get here and I was already here, that I might want to pay attention to that. So I was really grateful to be able to serve because they gave me something that I love, which is my craft.